And we're live.
All right. Welcome, finalist jurors and any viewers that we might have out there in the world to the final tribal council of Survivor Athena All Stars. This season brought together 20 of the most cracked, loved, and iconic players of the series together to play in a game that we all kind of feel highlighted the heart of what Survivor is meant to be, which is a game that challenges the social and strategic limits of its players. This season didn't have any insane items or any brand new, never before seen twists, but it had a cast that kept every single round interesting to host and to watch unfold. Our three finalists, Zach, Allie, and Kevin, have played hard for over a month, winning challenges, orchestrating blindsides, and developing strong bonds. They have outwit, outplayed, and outlasted. However, tonight, the power shifts to the jury. 8 people you each have had some kind of hand in voting out. Each of them will have the chance to ask questions that will help them determine who deserves to win the game and the $1 million worth of glory that goes with it. Only 3 of our jurors are actually able to be here live tonight, and the rest of them have pre recorded videos that we will be playing when the time comes. Bear with us with the audio and stuff. We're going to do our best. We will begin with brief opening statements from each of our finalists, and they didn't discuss who was going to go first, so why don't we start, Zach?
You know. Okay. So before obviously I get into my game, I just want to thank the hosts for casting me and giving me this opportunity to show why I was an all-star. And I was shocked when I was asked back, but nonetheless grateful. And as well, thank you to Allie and Kevin and the jurors and pre-jurors for making this experience enjoyable. And I hope that y'all had fun as well. And just thank you. So to get into my game, I'm just gonna summarize it. Obviously, going into this game, I reflected on my past games, which were Bahamas, and I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, Cordillera. And I realized what my downfalls were. In Bahamas, I just didn't start playing until late in the game, and I didn't own my game. In Cordillera, I just kind of accepted my defeat. When I knew I was going home, I didn't really do anything to, I guess, change the path. So in this game, I wanted to kind of transform my strategy into something I'm not used to doing, but still something to get me to the end of the game. Pre-merge, I relied on complete social connections. I was part of a 7-person alliance that lasted literally a week, or voting block rather, on OG Vareo, and then also I formed a strong trio with Emily and Allie. Going forward into One World, despite how much hair I wanted to pull out and probably how much I hated One World, it was probably one of the most useful aspects of my game because during that time, I not only found out a lot of information about who I can trust and who was actually wanting to work with me, but as well, I was able to start developing those social connections with people who I wasn't on a tribe with that I knew I could potentially be on a tribe with at an upcoming merge or swap. And I made sure I wasn't starting off at scratch. I started making connections with people like Cameron, like Owen, like Will, and others. Post One World, I actually started making moves. I started orchestrating or starting to have more say into who went home, such as a JD vote, and I will elaborate that on later. And I feel basically pre-merge, I relied on social game. During merge, however, my two main strategies were one, a one chance type of thing, which is when someone betrayed me or showed they were untrustworthy or disloyal, I made sure they left immediately because I wanted to keep in the people who I felt were actually loyal to me. My second strategy was always to maintain having big threats in the game. I knew I wasn't the biggest perceived threat, but I wanted those bigger threats to remain in the game. So in the pecking order, I was never at the top. And I believe that because of my social connections, they would see value in keeping me around. So if they ever had the power to make moves, I was never the target because everyone saw benefit to keeping me around. I feel like I made a lot of behind the scenes, plant the seed type moves in merge. And I did not make any flashy, boldy moves, but I didn't want to be irrational. and I relied completely kind of on social connections. And I set myself up to where near the end, I said this at the pressure cooker. I did not need to win that immunity, but I needed to reassure that Owen would go home. And I set myself up in a position that I felt really confident I was gonna make final tribal. And I only received as well one vote by Dana out of spite, but with love as well. And I made it to the end of the game using my social connections and by making sure there's always a higher or bigger threat in the game, despite on the truthness of how they were playing. So to conclude this, I do believe that I played a social game that situated me in such a good position throughout the game. And despite being in the minority and having a lack of power, I was still able to use my connections to know what was going on every vote and to reassure that I was not the target. And I was able to get to the end without ever having to rely on immunities, and with the exception of one, and just pure social game and of who I took with me. And I'm excited to see your questions and answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Great. Ali, Kevin, do you guys have a preference on who goes next? Looks like the answer is no. Abby, can you guys hear me? Just to be clear.
Yep.
Okay, I don't see either of them gesturing that they have any preference.
You gotta pick. Just throw in.
All right, let's have Kevin go next. Let's go reverse alphabetical. Let's get crazy.
Okay. So this is like cliche, but I just want to thank the host and everyone in this game for everything about it, because I had a lot of genuine fun in this game, and I think everyone who was a part of it is what made it so incredibly enjoyable. So with that, I'll just jump into this. So at the beginning of the game, I just wanted to not get into trouble and just be nice and sociable, because who wants to get out early in All-Stars? And plus, I was playing with all these big name players and winners, and it was kind of intimidating. But that plan kind of didn't work, because I tried voting out Autumn only for Karen, my ally, to be voted out instead. So it was a rough beginning in the game, starting the minority. And we didn't go to tribal to one ward after that. So what I tried focusing on was just talking to people, being social, and rebuilding those bridges. And I think I did manage to do that, particularly with Cameron and Autumn for a while. And then at One World, I also connected to some people from the other tribe, such as Emily, Ali, and Duncan. And then, so I tried laying low for a while. And then at Atalaya, I did work with Autumn at the JD vote, but I voted her out the next tribal because I realized A, she was a big threat, and B, she was pretty much playing for herself, which we all are in a way, but she was very transparent about it, I guess, and that didn't seem like a very reliable ally. And I kind of take that as my move, because I was the first one who suggested her name, because everyone else at that time didn't really have an idea who to vote. So then the merge came after that, and I renounced to some allies that I mentioned from One World. Duncan and I kind of worked together for a while. We wanted to be a duo that would be unsuspected, which did not last for that long. In particular, Duncan told me about Cameron's idol, and also that some people from his tribe, Laranja, talked about possibly voting for me as a merge boot. And then I kind of hit a rough patch, because 2 times in a row, I voted in the minority. With the Lily vote, I did know it was her, but I just didn't switch. And I was very freaked out just because I heard both rounds that my name was out there. I wasn't in danger of going home either of those times, but it was still freaky. So at the time, I thought, if I don't want to go out, I have to just lay low and not do anything. But then Duncan got voted out, and that was my number 1 ally at the time gone. And then I realized I can't just lay low. I had to actually do something. And then came the Will vote, and I wasn't a mastermind for that or anything, but I did think it was an important role for that. And I won't go into detail on that, because that'll make my speech super long, but I hope I'll get to talk about that later. So basically, well, we know what happened. The 5 voted for Will, and for a while, that trust we had built lasted, but that fell apart at the Emily vote. Well, not fell apart, but it didn't work out. And I wasn't part of the Emily vote because Owen had told me, like, he thought I would have told Emily about it. Probably true. So I understood that. But I was able to quickly recover from that compared to like how it took a while for me to cover the beginning of the merge. And so we voted out Cameron. We all perceived the big threat. And then that awful instant tribal came, and we voted out Ashvika, which broke my heart because I had really gotten to trust her, but it was the safest option. And then at Final 5, Ali and I were kind of the swing votes between Dana and Owen. We both agreed that we wanted both of them gone by Final Tribal because we thought, well, where we are right now was what was best for us. And so we went with Owen because he had a good chance of winning Final Immunity, and at least I thought he was the biggest out of all of us 5. And that choice ended up working because both Owen and Dana went home. And then at Final 4, or yesterday, my name was on the table, but at that point, I was used to knowing there were votes coming for me. I told Ali that Ali had said he thought I was a threat, but I told him that Dana was a big one, mostly because she was just very persuasive, something she had acknowledged herself publicly, and something she had used at the Owen vote. And obviously, I survived that vote, and now I'm here. So, yes, I started the game off on the wrong foot, but I was able to get back on track. And I've been told personally by other players that I've been a bit of an underdog, and at least to some extent, I would agree. Now, some people might think that, well, I'm an underdog because I voted incorrectly sometimes, but what's good about that? And I know I made mistakes. I'm not going to be fake and pretend that they were something else. But it's one thing to just vote incorrectly and blindly, and to just keep on doing that for the rest of the game, and then just happen to make it to the end. But it's another thing to start out in a bad position, but then be able to correct your path and place yourself into a better position. And I think the latter is a type of underdog that I was in this game because I was able to correct my gameplay. And I think it shows skill as a player that I was able to maneuver myself not just out of the bottom into a temporarily better position, but also to make it to the end despite that. Yeah. Okay, I'm done.
All right, great. Obviously, our last finalist is Ali, so take it away.
Can everyone hear me? Firstly, I don't know if it actually work. Okay, perfect. So yeah, just to like echo what they said, thank you to the mums for, as always, being a pleasure and for hosting a fantastic season. While it's been very, very stressful for me at point, it has been my favourite experience as a player, and I've had lots of fun. As someone that didn't think I was an all-star coming into this season, I'm really happy to say coming out of it that I do think I have earned that title, which is a nice thing to start with. But okay, I was terrified coming into All-Stars, but I had one clear intention from the start. I wanted to redeem the terrible game that I played in Amathia, building up from the rough foundations I had to play a more well-rounded game this time. The clearest description of what was wrong with my Amathia game can come from Owen's Amathia jury question for me, which I rewatched earlier, and some lines that stood out to compare to All Stars was that Ali made friends but did nothing with his friendships. There's nothing in the game that I specifically had any effect on, and that I was so easy to get to do things. And those are mistakes I not only think I rectified, but I've actually used to my advantage in this game. Now, in this game, my sort of overlying plan was to weaponize both my social game and the perception other people had of me. The idea from Amathia that I was a manipulable player and easily swayed into doing things that wouldn't go against the status quo is something I used to my advantage, and that nobody expected me to make moves, which allowed me making them all the more effective. Throughout the merge, especially in the early merge, the majority would be loose collectives coming together, and by the will vote, I was the only player to be in the majority for every single vote of the merge thus far. This is because I wanted to use how I was able to make friends with everyone, so I was able to swing between groupings and vote out the biggest threats in the game. By the third merge vote, there wasn't a single player I'd voted with every time. I was able to use my social game as damage control for moves, and to allow me to rebuild bonds in future rounds to make more moves. I truly feel I was at the core for a lot of the merge votes. This is not only indicated by that I voted out 8 of the 9 jurors, only Ashvika, I wasn't on call for that whole live tribal blah blah blah. I outlined the player thread in my game and attempt to form a group to eliminate that player. While I of course can't claim to be the sole architect for any of those moves, my social game allowed me to identify players and similar interests in the game, which ensured I was consistently in the centre for each of these votes. Be that in the early merge votes, the sort of alliance of me, Dana, Cameron, and Will, who I think had a lot of sort of influence over the Duncan and Lily votes, and their names started from us earlier on, to then for the sort of Ruthie and Will votes, a sort of smaller core group of Owen and Emily, who we were sort of a smaller three-person alliance. Once I voted in these core groups, I recognised them as threats to my game, which is why none of them, I felt I knew none of them could be seen next to me at FTC now. Everyone I voted out, it was because they were a huge threat to my personal game, and that would allow me to go forward with those that weren't as threatening. A flaw that could be argued regarding my game is that I wasn't good at retaining information. I believe a clear counter example to this would be the fact that I told nobody I was voting Emily instead of Ashvika during the Emily vote, as I felt that purely benefited my game, but is only effective if kept a total secret, otherwise Cameron was played as idle. Additionally, this time I focused on only leaking things purely for my own game's advancement. For example, I specifically told Cameron he wasn't receiving votes with the Ruthie tribal to solidify that trust and allow me to ensure the idol's removal, but in a more controlled fashion that didn't negatively impact my game, and telling Dana that Ruthie was going home, solidify trust there, then we could work together for voting Emily the following round. I'd love to get into the nitty-gritty of more votes. I think for an opening statement, I should keep it short and sweet as possible. I just summarise my game as weaponising my social game and the perception of me, and the way I was with information, to allow myself to advance my game and vote out threats. I was unafraid to work with differing groups of people, and I think that's something that is to my credit and would justify potentially winning. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And perfect, that's done.
All right, thank you all for making your opening statements. We're going to bring on our first juror shortly. Of course, I will remind the jury before they make their speeches, as I typically do during FTCs, that as much as we all have our feelings about the finalists and about the game, it is just a game. Please don't say anything that you'll regret being recorded. That being said, our first juror is Emily. Oh, one last thing. I would say that despite the fact that Lily and Will both decided to leave the jury, please don't anybody be afraid to talk about those rounds in the game if you feel that they're relevant to your strategy and important to your game. I'm sure they will watch this and understand everything, and everyone just talk about your game as openly as possible. Have fun, be nice to each other, etc. Our first juror is Emily. She is on her way.
We love a queen. Your guys' opening statements are really good, by the way.
Thank you.
Hi, here's Emily.
Hi.
And we're going to ask that everyone be quiet when the jurors are talking.
All jurors are talking.
Woo. Okay. So I just want to say I'm so happy for this final three. I love you all so much. And I think that I'm just so happy that you're all here because I felt like I was able to make good relationships with all of you, and I would be happy giving my vote to any of you. With that being said, my mind is definitely not made up whatsoever. I could go any way tonight. And so tonight, just, I don't know, be honest, be open, just, I don't know what I'm really looking for, but yeah. So I'm going to go in alphabetical order. So Allie, I'm going to start with you. So something that I've noticed about you and your game is you lack confidence, but and that's like something I've watched you struggle with the whole game. And I think you know that, like, I like somebody that owns their game and like can be very proud of it. But then watching your opening speech, I thought that showed confidence. And so that's good, and we stan. But so I also noticed that you talked about this one thing in your opening statement, and like I'm definitely not somebody to talk about being a loyal player, but like, why do you think being quote unquote unloyal was beneficial to your game, especially socially?
I think playing as someone that my whole thing is sort of talking to everyone and trying to be social and making friends. I think unless I'm playing quite strategically, it can be very easy, as it came across in Amathea. Oh, Ali's making friends with everyone. He's not really doing anything. So, and So for me to be like, for me making friends and for just being super social to be effective, I had to sort of do stuff with that and like go with friendships and things that benefited me in a move sense. Like obviously all the friendships were like real and whatever. I'm not going to try and say that I've all like none of the friendships are real or whatever. No, it was all like genuine. But for me to use those friendships, because I was making friends with everyone, there's always going to be people that I was working with and people that weren't. But it was the fact that I was friends with them that meant I could vote with them afterwards and whatever.
Woo! Okay, sorry, I was muted. Okay, so next is Kevin. Kevin, I don't have a question for you. I just have a task. We're gonna do the memory challenge again. I'm kidding. We're not doing that. So, I love an underdog. I love an underdog story, and I think that you have a pretty good one, because, like you said, you definitely did start in the minority, and I thought you worked your way up, sort of. But I want you to explain to me that your being in the final three is because of your own doing and not just because other people's motives changed. Like, if that makes sense. So like you being here is because of your own doing, not just because other people thought, oh, Kevin's a lesser threat, we'll just go for somebody else. Or if you think that that's the reason that you're here, then explain to me why that's good.
Okay, so so you're saying like ask me to explain like why I'm here, like of my own doing, right? Okay, so I kind of addressed this at the end of my opening speech, but so at the beginning of the merge, I was a target, but I understand like I wasn't like this, like a threat that had to go. Like from what I heard, it was just like people didn't really know me, which I understood. And when I was on the bottom after 2 tribals, I was pretty much an easy scapegoat in terms of vote and touchy subject answers. So I think at that point, I could see people seeing me as like coupling up with me, being like, okay, there's no harm in letting you survive another round. But I feel like if I had strategic contribution at those pivotal moments, like by when I turned my game around at the will vote, which I think was a pivotal moment, and I think my effort to that was at least important. Like I said, I'm not the mastermind or whatever, but yeah. And I know people didn't think like, oh, you're an easy person to beat, because literally yesterday, Ali had told me like he was debating between me and Dana because he wasn't sure like who was the best option. So I knew I wasn't being taken here just because, oh, I'm sure to be beaten. And again, I was able to recover from my minority. I wasn't just stumbling into the end, voting incorrectly and just letting people tell me who to vote. I got myself here. I was a swing vote at the final 5 vote. I chose who went home. So yeah, I think I did get here on my own, and it wasn't just being seen as a goat underdog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Okay. So Zach, I don't really know what I want to ask you because I feel like I have a good idea of your game, but I also don't. So, I think something that you wanted to highlight, if I remember your opening speech correctly, was like your social game. So I would like for you to, oh my goodness, I'm sorry. So like, what relationships did you make that you think benefited you the most in this game? And why should that impress the jury, I guess? How did that get you here? Why should we want to vote for you? Because the relationships.
So I feel like some of my most important, y'all can hear me, right? Okay, so I feel like some of my most important or most beneficial relationships I made were the ones with Dana, the one with you, and the one with Owen. The reason why was because you two, despite being like in a powerful position through a lot of the merge because of the will vote and how that kind of divided the tribe, you both were willing to tell me information. You told me that Ruthie was going to be the vote and that I was 100% safe. Owen told me about your advantage that Lily gave to you despite you not telling me that. So I feel like with those connections, I knew a lot more information that I was letting on. And that's partially why I wanted to go after you because of that information. Because you told me at one point that you trust me a lot, and then you didn't tell me that. So it's like, I feel like I utilized those strategy in that social game with those two people, you and Owen, as well as a lot of information I got from Dana, like how at One World, Duncan told her that JD leaked to the 7-person alliance thing, and that made us go after JD. So I feel like a lot of my social game got me information that utilized into me making a strategy for itself. And the reason why I think that should be seen as a positive thing to the jury was because I didn't just do that to be like friends with everyone. I used information that I received from people to orchestrate other votes or to start planting seeds because people trusted me, or just to gain information that I knew I could use as an alibi for making moves without making people mad. If that makes sense.
Okay, yay. Thank you, guys. I think that's all I have to say. I love you so much, and I'm so proud of all of you, and yay. Bye.
Thank you so much, Emily. Our next juror is Dana. She will be joining us shortly. Hopefully, ideally. Like I said, only 3 of our jurors will be able to be on live, and then we'll just be winging it after that. But
one may or may not be drunk. You can take a guess which one you think is gonna be drunk. Oh, I'm really gonna call the police. Everyone said, she has arrived.
Oh, hey, how is everyone? Did you miss me? It's been a long 24 hours. Oh, wait, hold on. Cameron's calling me. Yikes. Okay.
Dead.
So this is gonna be a mess because I didn't prepare. Typical me fashion, right? Okay, so I'm gonna start with Kevin, my favorite. You actually have 2 written out questions for. Surprise, surprise.
No.
Okay, so the first one is a legit question, and then the second one is just fun. So there's a lot of concern on the jury that you didn't do anything. But in a lot of conversations that sounded really mean. Like, I know you did stuff, but like, you know what I mean. I'm blunt. So there's concern that you didn't do anything, but the argument has been put out there by Duncan that if you weren't in a position to make big moves, you couldn't have made big moves. So I can still vote for you tonight if you played your best possible game given the situation you were in. So I want to hear about why you think you played your best possible game given that you were in the minority a lot and that literally every single person lied to you from vote number 1. What did you do to play your best game given that situation?
Okay. So at the beginning of the game, it was mostly just mending relationships and being social. And some people who I did not vote with, like Cameron and Autumn, I managed to recover with, even if just obviously not forever, but at least for the time.
Mm-hmm.
And on Atalaya, I was also able to form closer relationships and gain to work with people. But I think what best shows off, like, if I know I wasn't like in a position to make moves, but I think what does show off something I did was the will vote. So what I did was, well, I talked to Allie earlier that day, like kind of just like ranting about the state of the game because I was a little bit frustrated, and honestly, I just like kind of wanted to like wait to give up. But later, after I talked to Owen about possibly working together and getting something happening, I talked to Ellie, and initially the target was you, Dana, but
I know, Ashmika told me.
So I went to Allie and I was like, I just think, well, Cameron was immune. And I was like, so I don't trust Cameron, but he's immune. So obviously we can't get him. But Duncan told me that Dana told him about Cameron's idol, which was completely a lie. Because I did not remember who told Duncan about the idol because it was on call and I couldn't find receipts, but I knew someone had told him about it. So and I knew the whole thing about Allie getting in trouble about that. So that's why I went to Allie being like, they're too close. If you work with them, you're not going to make it to the end. And so I kind of played into that lie. And I think not only did that partially help with my trust and that I'm not just coming to you because I'm on the bottom. I think this is good for both our games, but I think I was able to build trust afterwards. And then just using those core relationships I had to get myself further and get myself here. I'm sorry, what was the question?
It was just how did you play your best game given the fact that you couldn't make big moves?
Yeah. Yeah, also I just think I was honest with people, even during those 2 votes, it wasn't like I was lying. I said I was voting Ruthie. I voted Ruthie. And that was the best I could do because I didn't want to go around being a messy liar and tarnish my image and get myself kicked out as a result. This answer's all over the place, but yeah.
That's fine. Okay. And then my second question for you, Kevin, is I made you a meme during this game. I don't know why. I literally just woke up one day and I was like, time for Kevin to be a meme. So I want to hear one funky, fresh fact about you. Something really interesting.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, I hate getting this question, but I'm asking you it. I want something good. I want tea.
I mean, why do I not know myself? I'm trying to think of a funny story. You said you want tea, right?
It doesn't have to be tea, but I want something interesting, something I don't know.
It's kind of about me. It's about how my parents met, and it's a funny story, and I guess it goes with tea. So they met at some doctor place, and my mom was actually already dating someone, but she went on a date with my dad already. And actually, my dad asked her out while he was on a date with another woman, which was a mess. But then the story gets better because a week after their first date, my mom got engaged to a different man. And yeah, they're happily married. So, not my mom and the guy, my mom and my dad.
Okay, that was good. That was good. That was what I wanted. I just want a little story.
Okay.
All right. So now I'm going to move on to Zach. Because everything I have to say for Allie is a mess. I have a paragraph, and none of it makes sense. Okay, so we're just gonna have to improv. So Zach, I have 2 questions for you. The first one is there is some concern that you didn't do anything without me, which I don't think is true because I don't even really remember talking to you about the game that much, TBH. But we're always talking. We talk 24 hours a day, so I have no idea what we did and didn't talk about. So that comes with 2 questions. I want you to explain some things you did without me. And then I want you to explain some things you did with me and explain why having me as your corollary was beneficial to you. Because I think that that's really what it was that you got a lot out of working with me and there was no reason to cut that off. So I want you to tell the jury about that.
Okay. So to answer the first question about moves I didn't make with you. Obviously, I made some moves pre-merge. I was a significant factor in the JD vote. And a fun fact, me and you were not on the same tribe together until merge. And let alone that, I honestly don't feel like we were actually working together until we were put in the minority at the will vote. because before then we were touch base, but we still had our own independent games. So and with this, like my social game, like we were both feeding each other information. I honestly think that like without you, moves I made without you was the JD vote, was having social game with Emily and Allie to form this strong trust, because Emily was one of my number one allies pre-merge and even a lot of merge. So I feel like I did play a lot of the game without you. And then when we came together, yeah, we did work together, but I don't think that should be seen as a negative. I'm going to explain why at the end. So I'm just going to explain the moves we made together. So the first thing we did together was a Duncan vote, which me and you talked before anyone else did, I think. And
That's true.
And I brought up to you, hey, no, you brought up to me first. Duncan had information that I did not know, which was the idol and the hideout advantage. I then told you that if we did not take Duncan out at 11, the next possible time would be 9 or 8. And that was the first time we started strategizing, but we still didn't keep it up. And you told Cameron, I believe, this information, which led to Duncan's vote. Another thing we did together was the Emily vote, because we were kind of in a minority. We were kind of like, hey, anyone want to come to us? Like, we're kind of floating. And Owen went to us, and then we ended up voting out Emily. And then Owen, and then Ashvika. Like, we did a lot of the end game together. So I'm going to explain why having you was beneficial, and then why it shouldn't be seen as a negative. Having you was beneficial because I got a lot of information out of you. At One World, you told me about the alliance of, like, on Lorana, no, not Lorana, Elenia, of you, Will, Owen, Autumn, and Cameron. You told me about how Duncan told you that JD leaked the alliance, which led to me going after JD. And I felt like me and you kept and based a lot of information, and I got a lot of information from you that I probably wouldn't have gotten because others probably didn't trust me early merge. And I felt like I also reciprocated a lot of information. Like, I don't feel like either one of us dragged each other.
No.
The last, and then why I don't think it should be seen as like negative is every game is about social connections. No one can make a move individually by themselves. So you need numbers to orchestrate any move. And you're someone I trusted a lot in this game because me and you we never went against each other. We weren't always like number one, but we never went against each other. And so I used you in a lot of the votes, and you used me in a lot of votes. You told me to vote Kevin at the first merge vote, just in case of 2 idols. And then I like got you, because you were okay with this, but I also pushed Emily over Ashvika because there was a lot of conversation with, should we vote Emily or should we vote Ashvika? So because I used, like, me and you were together in this game, I don't think that should be seen as a negative because I trusted you. Just like everyone else trusted each other or someone else. And I did work with other people. Owen, I got information out of him because I logically was like, it doesn't make sense that the majority wants to split 3-2-2 because 2 is not a majority. So that's a mess. So overall, I feel like I made moves without you this game. I played majority of this game without you. And I feel like you were a benefit to my game because we reciprocated a lot of information together. And I don't feel like either one of us dragged each other. And that we both played the best game we could. If that makes sense.
Cool. Yeah. And then my second question. Oh, it's echoing.
Oh, was that one?
That was one.
Bye.
It was really short. It's 1 second.
Okay.
Why am I echoing?
It's
Okay.
Zach probably has his speakers on.
Yeah, Zach, you mute yourself.
Everyone mute when someone else is talking. Just so we can avoid all echoing.
So my second question is, I want you to leave the jury with one memorable sentence that they can vote for you for. For example, Allie's out here saying that he weaponized his social game. So I want you to give one sentence about...
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I ended up muting my laptop.
Yeah. So Allie's whole thing at this final tribal seems to be that he weaponized his social game. So I want you to give one sentence that's equally as memorable that you can leave the jury with when they're thinking about what they want to vote and why they should vote for you.
I'm bad at grammar. I feel like the jury should vote for me and remember my game because I utilized my social game into orchestrating a lot of my strategy throughout this game. And by retrieving a lot of information, I helped display that I was able to trust people and understand who I could trust and understand the dynamics of the game throughout the entirety, despite not being in a majority a lot of the game.
All right. Cool.
I don't know.
Is there a reason that everyone else looks frozen to me? I don't know. Can everyone hear me?
It freezes the icons.
Oh, does it? Interesting. I
Sometimes
didn't know
it's a
that.
poor connection, yeah.
Okay. So now I go on to Allie. So I'm worried I'm gonna end up being mean and I don't want to be. So like if it's too much, just like tell me to shut up. Because I do really love you and I don't want to like be the worst. But I'm having a really, really hard time wanting to vote for you. And I didn't feel that way when I left the game yesterday. But then I started thinking and I talked to Cameron, and it's like the more I talked, the more angry I got with how you played the game. So I think my first thing is that I want to know, like, a lot of what we talked about yesterday obviously was me trying to get myself to stay. But my whole thing to you was, listen, I think that Zach and I would split a lot of votes on the jury. But I realized later on in the day that the reason that that didn't matter to you was because you thought that you had so many votes unlocked already, or so many people who wanted to vote for you, not unlocked, but so many people who wanted to vote for you that it almost didn't matter if Zach and I split certain votes. And I realized that what I was saying to you didn't matter because of the way you viewed your own game. So I want to know how you view your own game, because the way I'm seeing it right now, I don't know that you made the right move. And I think I told you that, but I started thinking about it more and more, and I'm still not sure if you did. And that's not me like being bitter. That's me just like wanting to know how you're viewing your own game, because I don't think I totally understand it.
I mean, I think the first thing to put out there is I think that it's always going to be Lancer, whatever. Like I've been saying all day, and I've been saying since ages that any combination in this final four will be super open. There's no person that's going to be getting like swayed and swayed, but I think that's happening now with any combination of us four, it being in the final three. But also, I think part of my reason for writing you out that I don't think I fully explained to you at the time was the fact that I feel like with my game and the fact that I was kind of voting with different people and going back and forth, is that you're one of the people that if it's quote unquote sides, were like a big person on one of the sides. So if I'm going to the end with because I feel like Kevin and Zach were kind of on different sides, but they were also kind of the sort of like on like a totem pole of each side, kind of lower down. So it's almost like I sort of worked my way down the two sides to people that weren't necessarily the bigger threats on either side. And I felt like, because also I didn't do as great a job of owning my game as I should have done during the game, and efficacy was so important, I needed to have a narrative that matched the idea of Kevin being such an underdog and like something that I needed my own way of having my own sort of narrative to present to the jury, and I felt like with you there I couldn't do that.
Okay. I think I get that.
I don't worry about being mean, honestly. Like, it's Final Tribal Council, you say what you want.
No, my second point is mean. That one wasn't intended to be. You know I'm blunt. So my second point, I'm just having a hard time, and I think Cameron will get into this more. I'm hoping he will. Is that, and this is going to sound worse than it's meant to, but I found your social game kind of annoying. Like, when I really got to the end and thought about it, I think that weaponizing your social game is a smart move if it then leaves jurors still wanting to vote for you. And I think that one problem that a lot of jurors seem to have, including myself, is that, like, you made us feel bad about getting voted out. And, like you made, like, not that you, sorry, that's a really poor way of phrasing it, but you made us feel bad that we were getting voted out when you weren't taking ownership of the fact that you were the one doing that to us. So, like, I shouldn't have to apologize to you and tell you that it's a good move that you're voting me out of the game. And I think that that's something that I have a hard time with, is like, and I know I've said this to you before, is like, I shouldn't want it more for you than you want it for yourself. And I think that that comes with ownership, but I think that more so than that, because I do think you own stuff better than you have in the past when I've played with you. But I think that here, it really came down to, I felt like I had to apologize to you for getting voted out of the game. And I don't want to leave a game feeling like that. So I think that what I want you to do is I want you to list all of the things you did in this game that you apologized for and said you were sorry was happening, and not say, like, I think I'm doing this, I'm sorry, I have to do this. Just say, I did it. Like, I just want you to say, I did this, because that'll make me feel better about all of the things that you apologized for and all of the people you made feel bad about their own vote out.
Okay, I think, like, to begin with that, I think the reason, before I get into the whole sort of going through the things that I need to sort of own much better, I think the reason I did a bad job of that is because while on a game level, I stand by, and I did a good enough job of saying this, but I stand by that I made the correct decisions, because this merge is basically like loads of my friends. I found on a personal level that difficult, but it's my fault for making you guys feel like you should feel sorry, because I feel like I sort of told so many people you don't need to be trying to be so nice to me, even though I really appreciated it, and I tried to keep saying that, but obviously it's much harder for me to say that and it for actually sound genuine, like I actually didn't want, because I felt bad that everyone was sort of trying to be so nice to me. I didn't feel like I didn't really know how to sort of go change that. The fact that it was sort of people feeling so, because I think that's the fact that people like me didn't want me to feel bad about doing it, and I think I didn't own stuff well enough that's why, which is why I think FGC is so important for my game, in that this is the chance for me now to own stuff and not seem like I just was feeling bad for everything. Anyway, the next thing was to sort of own things I apologized for.
I just wanted to say, like, I did this. Like, when I voted out Duncan, I went on call with Owen and I said, I voted out Duncan and I don't feel bad about it. I want you to just say that you did it and not explain why, not apologize for it, not say you're so sorry it happened, just say it.
Okay, I have like the wiki thingy open so I can like not forget things. Should I jump from the start or from merge?
You can start like halfway through merge. You don't have to do everything. I just want to hear you like say it.
Okay. I mean, obviously, the people I voted out that I own voting out was so it was everyone from Lily, Duncan, Will, Ruthie, Emily, Cameron, Owen, and you. I all voted out, and I own all of those votes. I think they were all the correct decisions. What else did I do? I own the fact that I'm forgetting what even happened in this game now, which is not the thing to happen. But I own the fact that I actively flipped on you, Will, and Cameron. I own that. I think it was the right move. What actually happened in this game? I own the fact that I lied to you guys about the idol and didn't tell anyone about that. What else? I'm just trying to look at the list of votes and remember what I would have pointed out apologizing for. I'm trying to think what else, because those are the big things. But I'm sure there are like smaller things that I'm forgetting to like.
That's fine. You don't have to go through every single move you've ever made. I just wanted to say that you did it and that you don't feel bad about it. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Good luck, and I'll be watching. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dana. Our next juror is Cameron. If you want to send him the join link.
It's done.
He will be with us shortly. All right, welcome. That's my son, America. Anyway.
Oh, hello, kids. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the moms and the other players this season for making this amazing. I really had a great time. I feel like I played the best game that I have ever played. Even if I didn't necessarily win, I think I've played the best that I've ever played, and I am really grateful for the opportunity to do that. I've got a little speech before I start. And then I have a couple questions for each of you, and then one question for all of you to answer that's like lighthearted and fun, because I'm gonna go in the most non-personal way I can possibly do that. So I'm gonna start with my speech. This is a different situation for me. Normally when I go to Final Tribal Council, there's somebody there who did not vote me out. All of you voted me out. However, one of you was an ally, one of you was someone I considered my closest ally, and the other one of you was someone that I had lied to for every single vote this game. I knew it was coming the second that I played my idol that I would get voted out. Did it make it sting any less? Not really. No. Especially because I repeated a placement. But Allie, I find myself harboring a lot of resentment towards you about this game because I had to beg you to tell me that I was going home. That is not something fun to do. This is not a question yet, don't worry. I had to beg you to tell me that I was going home. I had to apologize for me going home. And on a personal level, I don't mind doing that because you are my best friend and I love you to the moon and back. However, on a game level, that makes me not want to vote for you. However, my vote is still in the air and you do have the chance to earn my vote, so don't feel hopeless, please. Kevin, all I gotta say to you is I love your eyebrows. That's the first thing I thought when I saw you go on cam. And that's the only thought I have. You'll hear... my Skype is broken, so I see every single notification that pops up, even if it doesn't make a sound. So I'm seeing everything that everybody's saying, so that's why I'm laughing. But yeah, I have more to say to you when I ask you your actual question. I think you're a really sweet kid, and I'm glad we had the chance to play this game together, even though we didn't ever work together. And I feel that way about all of you. I'm glad I got to play with all of you because you're all wonderful people. And Zach, the allies who voted me out apologized, except for you. So you're going to hear a little bit about that. And I'm sorry if I stutter. I do that when I'm trying to go fast. So I am going to go in reverse alphabetical order because why not? So I'm going to obviously start with Zach. Congrats on making it to the end again. Tell me why you think you deserve to win this time. Tell me why I shouldn't believe Dana would be saying the same stuff if she was in the final three and not you. And tell me why I should vote for you when you were the only one who did not say anything about voting me out, either before or directly after I left.
So the first question, the reason why I think I should win is because I kind of did look back at my past mistakes in my games, particularly the Athena series, and I played a lot of different, like a completely different game than I normally do. Usually I think I'm more perceived as like a bigger player during merge where I'm winning comps because you said yourself like, oh, Zach, you're known for comping your way at the end. In this game, I didn't have to rely on comps, and I think that does show a big part of my social game, and the fact that I was not in a majority position running a lot of things. I kind of had to play from the back. What was your second question? Yeah, sorry.
Tell me why I shouldn't believe that Dana would be saying the same stuff if she was in the final three and not you.
The reason why I think you should believe that Dana wouldn't be saying the same stuff is because even though we did play a lot of the end game together, we were never on the same tribe pre-merge, and I do believe pre-merge is a significant factor of one's game. And even for the early merge, the first time that Dana and I actually like came together completely was with you and Ruthie. after we were all put in the minority at the will vote. So I did work with her beforehand, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't think we were actually like considered like, oh yeah, let's actually work together. And later on in the game, Dana did other stuff, I did other stuff. Dana had more of an impact on some certain parts of the game. I had a bigger impact on other parts, and that's what I'm gonna highlight, and that's what Dana would have highlighted. So I do feel like there is a distinguishable difference in our game. And then for question 3, which is why should you vote for me when I was the only one that didn't apologize? I'm gonna start by apologizing. I know it's a lot of late, but I just want to say like I am genuinely sorry, and that is my only regret was not even telling you were being voted. But during that time, I'm just gonna explain why I didn't, and it's not excusable. But during it, it's just like you told me on call, I had never went against you, and 20 minutes earlier you were telling Owen should the vote be me. And I knew that you were after me a little bit, and that's why I was confident with voting you. But nonetheless, like I should apologize, but I didn't want to like message you after the game because I knew you were mad, and I felt really bad. And I don't know, like it's not excusable, but I am sorry. I do think I played the best I could have played, and I regret that one thing, and I wish I apologized because genuinely I did not mean to hurt you in any way. I love you as a person. We're great like friends outside the game, and I am sorry if you actually were really upset that I didn't apologize, and I should have, and that is my one regret in this game.
It didn't hurt me on a personal level that you didn't apologize. I know it's a game, but you know, it just makes me a bitter Betty juror.
Yeah, that's fine.
And also, I read your rites of passage, and you thought I had the merge idol, so wig.
That's partially also why I didn't tell you. I was like, Cameron's gonna pull out another idol. I know it.
Joke's on you. It was the person that all of us thought couldn't keep a secret. So, up next is Kevin. My first question is not going to sound very nice, but I have a nicer question to follow it. If we had replaced you with a scarecrow, would this game have turned out any differently?
I mean, my natural response is to say yes, but I do genuinely believe that because while I wasn't a pivotal player, like I wasn't the one making the decisions for a vote, I do think I was an important part of votes. Like I said, like someone mentioned earlier, I wasn't in the position to make those kind of decisions because I was in the bottom for a while. So, but I was able to recover, and I think I did have some impact. Like I talked about what I did at the will vote, which wasn't like groundbreaking or game changing, but I do think that did help me. And then at Final Five, me and Ali were part of swing vote, and I know like, yes, Ali could have made that decision by himself because it would have been 3-2, but I think we both collaborated on that, and no, a scarecrow would have not been able to replicate that. And sort of a similar situation at Final Four when Ali was considering voting me out, I was able to defend myself and make a case for myself as to why I shouldn't go. So, and if a scarecrow was there to do that, Dana would be here, and I don't know when. So, yeah.
I mean, let's be real, Dana was the scarecrow. I also want you to know that I don't think you were a scarecrow this game. I just wanted you to explain what you did in a defensive manner because you gave the answer that I was looking for, or at least in the manner I was looking for. And in the nicer question, because your rites of passage kind of left me wanting, I love having my ego stroked, Kevin. So tell me the nicest, most genuine compliment you can think of about me.
On the spot, okay. This will be a little long-winded, but you're just someone who's great to talk to, like to have a genuine conversation with, because I remember at the beginning of the game, you were like you said something about hating the awkward small talk, and even though like we both both acknowledge we were on the same side for most of this game, you were still someone I could talk to, whether about like my dance or just how our day's been going. And I think that was really nice to have, and that was what part of made this game so great. So I guess to say it more shortly, you're just someone who I can have a genuine, great conversation with. And that really, yeah, never mind. I don't know what I was gonna say, but yeah.
All right, thank you. That doesn't have to stop after the game that ends if you don't want it. I am always up for new pals. And last but most certainly not least, and farthest away from me, Allie, I have a few questions for you. One I'm dying to know, and I just thought of it about 20 minutes ago because we were talking about it in the jury chat. Did you tell Duncan about my idol?
Yes.
I knew it. You did lie about that too.
Actually, that's true.
And Owen, you were correct. That was the worst decision, telling Allie about my idol. Why should any of us on the jury believe that you are actually confident in your game now when you most certainly were not then, other than people telling you that you have to be confident about your game? And I would like you to answer this question without talking about any of the past games that you've played.
Okay. I think the thing to talk about first, and because there's a bit of overlap with what you've said and what Dana asked me before about owning stuff. And what I would say is, I think that's more a personal problem that I have that has sort of seeped into the game, rather than something that should negatively there's something that's like negative about my game itself. Like the fact that I have no confidence in myself is a personal problem that's kind of like had its effect on the game rather than it being a direct game decision. And so me trying to make moves and work around that like complete lack of self-confidence is why I think it came across like everyone would feel bad, because I would make moves, and I made moves this time, which I also said I was not supposed to say, but I made moves, but I would feel really guilty, which is where the whole social game thing and being obnoxious and annoying that I would sort of have no confidence in myself at all comes from. And I can't remember, there was another question, but I really can't remember what it was.
It was just not to talk about Amathia while you did it.
Oh, yeah.
Also, don't call yourself obnoxious and annoying. That's not anything that you are. You are a lovely human being, and you don't deserve to like get down on yourself because of that. And I think I might be repeating your rites of passage back to you. So I have a couple more questions. So as I mentioned earlier, I left the game with a lot of resentment for you, because there were multiple times that I had to apologize for you flipping on me. And that is not a good position to be in the game. I don't know where I was going with this question. Probably just tell me that you were proud of voting out Will. Tell me that you were proud of voting me out.
I think that's something that, especially now that I'm looking back at my game at FTC, and I'm looking at it, like looking at the jurors, all the big name, big threat jurors were people I voted for, and people that if I was sitting next to at the end were just bad idea. And I like made moves to vote for people that it was the right move. Like I voted for Will, and that was like such a big thing. Like that was such a big move, and it was like
I remember.
I remember saying that like this was literally like as if I wait, I can't talk about Amathia again, can't I? So I'm literally about to say it like as if I voted up. No, never mind, not doing that. But literally it was like I made moves this time, and even though I sucked at owning them, because the problem was right after every vote I would have this like tsunami of feeling terrible, because every time we got my friends, and that meant that damage control wasn't on a game level. It was me going through all the guilt I was feeling and not doing a good job of owning it as a game move. But looking back at it now, and I'm looking at all these big threats, and I voted out 8 of the 9 jurors, and they were all big threats that needed to go, and I made these moves. And even though I sucked at owning them at the time, I know they were the right moves for me.
Okay. And now I'm going to do the thing and ask you the question that you won't want to answer. You need to talk about every flaw in your game without talking about your past games.
I think the first one you already kind of talked about, which was the fact that I was not good at owning stuff, which made it seem like everyone felt like they had to apologize to me for me making moves, which is a real big problem. I had the other thing that I think could be is always something that can be critiqued for my game is that I am not the best person at keeping in information, but this time I do genuinely feel my spreading information was more to my benefit. Some example would be when I told you, Will and Dana on call about my idol. That was, I think, literally the round I voted out Will. But by that point, because I knew Emily and Owen and all these people had been sort of talking about my idol and was getting out there, I thought if I tell you guys that I have an idol, and like, even though I already told you, but Will and Dana, and that will mean, oh, why would Ali tell us this? And then immediately just not vote. It sort of solidified that trust. And it was me getting ahead of the fact that I can find out anyway, I could solidify trust there. So, but it was definitely, okay, I feel like I'm not answering properly because I'm sort of trying to defend flaws in my game. Is that not, that's not what you wanted, is that? Am I doing it wrong?
No, I just want you to talk about them.
Okay, sure. What? I think another sort of flaw to my, I'm trying to, I just something in my head. What was I going to say? I think another flaw to my game is that, and this is kind of a bit like what I was talking about, the sort of fact that people feel bad for me making moves. But I think also that also makes it seem like I wasn't as in the core stuff as I was. Like by me being so like sad about stuff, it made it seem like, oh yeah, they pulled an Ali last minute and he feels really bad about it. But I know that not to be the case because like I know for Lily and Duncan, while we said their names came out last minute, really we talked about it earlier in the day for voting them, and then same with Will. Literally, I wanted to put this out. This is something I want to talk about is that right when after the Duncan vote, I called with both Owen and Emily, and I made sure I say this thing about, oh, I assume you, Owen and Emily, as in me, Owen and Emily are going to be the next 3 to go, and I would say these things to like, again, I'd be spreading information. I'm literally talking no sense, but wait. Let me just figure out what I was going to say. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying that I think it comes across that I was pulled in last minute because I felt so guilty. But really, I feel like I was actively going in and telling and trying to form things to happen. Like with the Will vote, I went to Owen, I went to Emily, and I said the same exact phrase, and I did it very deliberately of, oh, I think Owen, Emily, and I are going to be the next 3 to go. Because I knew that's going to obviously then make the 2 of them talk to one another because they know, oh, Ali told me this, oh, he told me this as well. So then that forms a 3 there. And then that also meant that when Kevin came to me and was like, which is what I talked about earlier with sort of whole, he sort of was talking about the Will vote and thinking about that, is that I already sort of set that out there with Owen and Emily. And when I talked to him about making moves, we talked about, okay, the people we would need to vote with us are Kevin and Ashvika, who were on the bottom. So then them coming, I feel like Kevin coming to me and Ashvika later coming to me was a product of me talking to Owen, who talked to Kevin, but about what I said, which circled back to me. So I think it did sort of stem from stuff I did, but I think it is my fault for not coming across like I was as core of stuff as I was in the game by owning it very badly. What else? I'm trying to like think about that.
Cut you off there.
Yeah, I'm talking way too much.
No. Also, just a comment, not a question. Your spreading of information wasn't any better. You just used it this time. You were still as much of a leak as before. Aside from the merge idol, which is easy to hide when you have 2.
No, I agree. I agree. I still was spreading like a lot of information, but like you said, I think it was with more point this time.
And last but not least, I have one cute little question for all of you. And I ask that you only answer with one question per person because some people are getting tired, some people, including everybody. Just say a genuine compliment about everyone on jury's games. Nothing iconic, no queen, no social, nothing like you can't just be like, oh, iconic, oh, wig. I'm looking at you, Zach. So take it away.
Is that for me or for everyone?
Everyone, just one
Oh, sorry.
sentence maximum per person, please.
Should I go first? Okay. Right. So everyone on jury. So I think the fact that the first one is so I'll start with Charlotte, the first juror, is that everyone respects Charlotte and the presence she brings to a game. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's Charlotte. It's the Charlotte. I guess would be my compliment for her. Duncan, I think it would be the fact that everyone knows about how willing Duncan is to make moves, and the fact that he is sort of scary for that, but everyone's aware of the fact that he's able to make those moves. I will, even though he's not going to be here, I want to compliment Will, because everyone knew Will as one of the best players in the merged tribe, literally talking to everyone and kind of running everything, which is a pretty big compliment, but I think he deserved it for his game. Ruthie, it was that I think no one ever does, but no one has had a bad word to say about Ruthie, and everyone always wants to work with Ruthie. Like, who doesn't want to work with Ruthie? It's just always, yeah. Emily is just such a scary player in that everybody wants to work with and trust her. So I guess in that sense, it's like everyone wants to work with her, but yet also knows she's such a big threat, which is a balance that she somehow manages. I think my main thing, my compliment for you, is how much your game is like astronomical. Like that sounds like your game is bad, maybe, but like your game is so astronomically better now. Like I still remember when we talked on that first One World day, and it was like you already knew everything going on before talking to people. It was like a telekinetic thing. So that was like super. I kept saying, "Oh my god, Cameron's so good. I'm so proud of him," and whatever. Ashvika is that everyone was in awe of like how nice she was and the fact that she just won unanimously, but yet no one questioned their social game with her, and everyone knew that she was a nice person. Everyone wanted to work with her, despite that she literally just won unanimously, which I think is to the credit of her downplaying how much of a threat she was in this game. Owen is Owen. Like every single game, Owen is going to be like crazy threat. He's good at social, strategic, and challenges. I think he's one of the most all-rounded players and people in the community. I meant to just about their games, right? Not just personal. I feel like this was very gamey compliments. I think you said just game compliments, right? And then I think Dana was sort of very low-key about the fact that everyone. Okay, Dana's very good at talking to people and convincing people, but she's very low-key about the fact that she's good at doing that. Like, she downplayed the fact that literally you talk to Dana and like, oh my god, everything she's saying is just truth and it's all correct, and that just stems from the fact that she's a very, very good talker and a very good person to talk to. And then should I do the final three as well, or do I stop there?
Kevin, you can go.
Okay, so I'll start with Charlotte. So I played with Charlotte for one tribal, so I don't have a lot of insight, but I do know that everyone I talked to pretty much was both loved her and was also afraid of her because of her winning, obviously. And yet I think she has this personality that just makes you want to talk to her and work with her. Dana. So Dana herself like acknowledged that she was a meme in this game, and yet she very capable still. So she's like a very fun but capable player. Yeah, and like I didn't really get to see that side until Final Five, but like when I did, I was like, wow. Owen, everyone knew Owen was winning. He was just such a great player because he's has such great strategic insight, and I think the best example of that was when he talked about Ali having the second idol during the instant tribal, like he deduced that, and also just from what I've seen in alliance chats, like he's very strategically smart. Um, sorry, tear just went off. Ashvika. So I feel like she had a very low key game, at least from what I saw, but she was still very social and very nice to talk to, and I got to trust her quickly, even though I didn't get to work with her until like late merge, really. And then Cameron, people acknowledged you as a threat from like final 10 or whatever, and yet you lasted for however many rounds, which was extremely impressive. Emily, like I said with Charlotte, people acknowledged her as a threat, like probably from like extremely early merge, but she still lasted, and I think that's because of just how nice she is and how good her social game is. Ruthie, she's extremely sweet, which makes you want to work with her, which didn't really happen with me, but I think she's just, again, her personality is something that draws you in. Will, such an intimidating, not person, player, and I felt like even though I was like strictly on one side when he was still in the game, I could see like him playing both sides, like not playing, but like talking to everyone. Um, Duncan, Duncan, such a good player. I played with him before. He's not afraid to. I just swallowed something. He's not afraid to make moves, and he's a very, very much, how do I say it? I guess in the know about things. That's not what I mean, but yeah. Did I do everyone? Yeah.
Okay, so I will start with Charlotte. So Charlotte is a really genuine person, and I feel like she's really like straightforward. Playing with her for even just like the first 3 rounds, she just was really the only person that would throw out a name and just be like, "Y'all, just stop playing like around. We need to get something done." Duncan was a really good social player and just a fun personality to talk to. And I think that was a really good supplement to his social game. And a perfect example was when he literally like we met up at Merge. He's like, "Do you want to be my showman?" And I was like, "Oh my god, I would love to be." And then unfortunately, I voted him out. Will's just such a powerhouse of a player, and he's so active that he would just keep messaging me, and there was no way I could like not love him and be weird around him and feel like I'm being judged. Ruthie's such a light-hearted, happy person. Like she doesn't take things personal, and that's part of the reason why she's such a good social player and likable. And that's such a good aspect about her, both as a game player and a human. Emily just is a great player overall. Like she's so intelligent and like, just smart and fun, and she's so like cute and just she gives off the vibes that you want to work with her. And then if she like betrays you, you're just like, I can't use certain terms. He said not to use like God or anything, but yeah. Cameron, you kind of mentioned this yourself, and I'm not gonna reference Hoeing because that's an awful game, but you have played such a phenomenal game this season. Like you were so like not controlling, but you had like a dominant, I guess, like not like vibe around you, and you played so good, and you were so smart with your idol gamble. Like you literally did not play your idol, and you got 0 votes just to play the next tribal. Like I would have used it on myself. I'm so paranoid. I would have been like, bye, like not risking it. Advika is just mesmerizing. Like she's so fun. Her social game is so like adorable, and she's just really understanding as a person. And I feel like that's a great aspect to have as a player in these games. Owen's like another powerhouse of a player, and he's so fun. He's insightful. He's smart, and he's here to play. He always gives it his 100%, and I respect that so much. And he's genuinely like one of the greatest people I've met online. And last and not least, Dana. Dana, if you were to describe her in an adjective, and this relates to game, she literally has a hobby for debating. Like she's the most persuasive person I know, and she's so like good at arguing, and she's just such like a fun person. Like what Kevin's like a meme where it's like she's so, like she's there to have fun, and I respect that so much from people. And yeah, that's
All right, thank you. I'm gonna go now and make the host stop suffering. But before I do, everybody dab for Owen. Bye. Don't
Okay.
give that.
So we have now gotten through all of our live finalists. So we're going to go to all the recorded jury questions. I would just like to say, in general, as we move forward, FTC has now been going an hour and a half, and all of the people who pre-recorded their questions will have to watch this video to see their questions answered. So please try to keep your responses brief, so that they can easily find their respective questions. If I have time, I'll go through and collect timestamps of their questions being answered for them, but I may not. So do your best to answer things succinctly, and hopefully we can be done before the sun rises in London. It is 4 a.m. there, so keep that in mind. Okay, Abby will be pulling up the videos. Everyone's going to need to ideally be muted, if not completely silent, because we're going to have to listen to it through her computer audio. And we'll be starting with Duncan, who has a separate video for each of you. All right, Abby.
First has his general video. Wait, did I do that right? Can y'all see that? Okay.
Okay, so I'm making this before I forget the night before. First of all, I just want to say thank you again to our Athena moms for making such a lovely game for all of us All-Stars to play in. And also congratulations to the final 3, Ali, Kevin, and Zach. Very proud of y'all getting to the finals of an All-Stars game. Pretty fucking shocking. And I do have individual questions for you all. And I'm going to make separate videos for each of you, and we'll see your questions in a second. Good luck to all of you, by the way.
All right.
That was the first question was for Ali.
Okay, let me.
So, yeah. There will be a lot of logistics of pulling things up.
Yeah. So we're doing Ali first?
Yeah, just do them in the order that they're in on the doc.
All right, that makes sense.
Hi, Ali.
Stop! All right. This is so annoying.
Hi, Ali. Okay, my question for you is that you smashed me at Final 11 when I didn't think that I was a threat to your game. I was genuinely going to go to the end with you. So when you were one of the people that voted me out, I was very, very gagged. So please tell me why it was imperative and good for your game to eliminate me at that vote, especially that vote. Yeah. Good luck. Love you. And bye. Hi, Ali.
Okay. Duncan, while you like directly sort of I didn't think would be targeting me immediately, I think what made the fact that we were working together pre-merge so strong is because we had similar interests. But by merge, I think our interests had differed, and you were starting to, while not directly be targeting me, begin to sort of compromise by game, but decided by the fact that even though it's my fault for like not keeping it secret, but the fact that I told you about Cameron's idol because you were my number one after merge, and then after during the swap, and I think our interests differed, and I felt you were starting to sort of work around me, and while you weren't a threat to my game, and that you were targeting me, I think we just couldn't work together in that sense. I'm trying to keep it short, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. All right, so his next
Nobody
question.
is required to say a lot.
No. So now we got Zach.
This question's for Zachary. And Zachary, my question to you is gonna kind of sound like meta, but what moves in this game were solely made by you and not by you and Dana, and were beneficial for you and not for you and Dana? Like a shady way, as in a genuine question way. And I didn't read your opening statement, so please just answer my question. Sorry. Yeah, and good luck to you too.
All right.
I love meta. Okay. So I kind of answered this already with Dana, but like obviously I played a lot of this game without like Dana. Pre-merge, I was not on a tribe with her, and I don't even think her and I were actually like fully working together until the will vote. And so I feel like a move I made for example was the JD vote, which I felt like I couldn't trust her, particularly because you leaked to Dana, who leaked to me at One World, that JD sold the alliance and that she wanted to make an amazing alliance. So I made like that move pre-merge and jury. And to answer the second half, a move that I made that I thought was best for my game and not hers was actually your vote. Her and I talked a lot before even the immunity results, and she told me information about how you had an idol and other advantages, and you did not tell me this. And so that proved that you were really not trusting of me probably, and that there was some type of boundary, and that's why I brought up, can we vote Duncan this vote? He not only is going to be immune at Final 10, but he has an idol, and I do not want to deal with another like Russian roulette. Is the idol going to be played? We have to kind of flank it. Who knows? So, and you were really trusting of her. Like apparently you two would call so much. So I don't know if it was the best move for her game, but for my game, I felt like getting rid of you at that point was the best. I feel like that's one major move that happened that was beneficial to my game and not hers. Thank you.
All right. And our last question is for Kevin. Let me get that up.
Question is for Kevin. It's not such a serious question, but my question to you is, because other people are probably going to drag you, no offense. My question to you is, what was your favorite part of this game? One of the things I wanted to make sure I did this time was have fun, and I want to make sure that everyone had fun, even though it was stressful as fuck. So just tell me what's your favorite part of the game. Thank you.
Okay, 2 answers. One was during One World when Lily held those Cards Against Humanity games. Those were super fun. And the highlight of those was Krista Todd's guest appearance. I miss her dearly. Yeah. Those are just really fun not really fun moment that was outside of the game. And then number 2, even though he asked for 1, was probably, I forget, this was like Final 9, Final 8, when Dana created those very interesting memes of me as bald Taylor Swift celebrating me and everything about that, because I think we were on call a lot during that time period, like as a tribe, and that was just really fun because even though things were split in the game, it was still nice to have fun as people, like talking together. Yeah.
All right. So next, that's everything from Duncan. So next we have Charlotte. So let me get the video set up. Hers is cute. All right, here we go.
Ooh.
All right, y'all. Who's ready for some questions? Not me. We started the game probably longer than everyone was in the game. I wasn't even supposed to be on the jury, but hey, we love getting our 15 minutes. So Allie, Zach, and my son Kevin, congratulations on making it to the end. I've played closely with one of you in the past, been hosted by one of you, and just we bonded a bit with the third of you. So I know all of you, I think, quite well at this point. I don't know. I don't want to ask. I honestly didn't have any questions, but I have to have a question. So, anyways, this is my pillow. It's fun. I'm gonna draw a question mark. Nope, fuck that. Too much work. Anyway, so I guess my question to you is, what is one game move that you would say could cost you the game? So I don't want to know why you think you should win. I want to know why you think you shouldn't win. Like, what's one thing where you think, oh, that was awful, I shouldn't win? That's what I want. And I want honest answers. I don't want a bullshit, I've never made mistakes ever, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I want your true answers. Thanks.
All right. Holy shit. Y'all can go in whatever order you want. Who wants to go first?
Abby, just pick one of them, honestly.
Kevin's already pinned, so Kevin gets to go first.
A move that could have cost me the game. I'd say, like, not voting for Lily just because I knew it was gonna change. It had changed to Lily, and yet I didn't switch to Lily just because out of confusion, because it was very last minute when I heard about it, and also just I liked Lily and I didn't want to do that to her. But I feel like even just voting in the majority in that round would have, like, especially at the beginning of the merge when like the first vote can possibly draw a line in the sand, that would have even if slightly have improved my standing in the game. And if I had done that, I would have voted in the minority twice in a row, which was not good. So voting Lily out could have, no matter how small, helped me probably.
All right. Ali can go next.
I think the thing that's I think that if I lose, if I lose this game, I think what will ultimately cost me is the fact that it wasn't even the moves I made, it was the way I handled them. Just the fact that I didn't own them, and the fact that I made people, even though I think the fact that I made people feel bad about that is more my personal issue rather than a game issue. I think that would be what will cost me in the end, is the fact that people felt like they had to apologize to me for making moves. I don't know.
All right. Honestly, one thing that I did that I think I regret and that could alter the outcome, and probably I guess a reason why I should not win is, and I answered this earlier, and it's like the one thing that bugs me the most about my game was honestly not being honest with Cameron, or at least apologizing. Like, I think I handled that vote really poorly, and that's not a true reflection of a good social game. And I feel like that was a major downfall of my game, was not even apologizing, not necessarily telling him, because it was a paranoia, whatever. But I guess just lying and not apologizing for it despite the circumstances it was in. Thank you. Woo.
Okay, thank you very much. I will get the next one ready.
I'm gonna switch to my phone because my laptop's about to die, and I don't want to like die during the middle of a question. So is that cool?
Okay, go ahead. I'll wait for you.
Okay, I'll be back.
Okay.
Would anyone like to say anything to keep our 3 viewers entertained? Same.
Just, I guess the viewers enjoy me slowly making less and less sense, and it gets closer and closer to 5 a.m.
Yeah, Allie, what time is the sunrise there?
Oh, I'll Google it.
Will we get to see a beautiful London sunrise during this FTC? It seems more and more realistic.
It's 3 hours, in fact.
Oh, really? Damn.
So let's hope not. Kevin's back.
Yes. Okay. Our next juror is open. Set up my screen here. And Kevin, if you could just hit the mute button real quick because you're making a lot of scratchy sounds.
Oh, sorry.
Also, Abby,
Please?
if you want to like mute it after he addresses each person to let them answer, you can. But if you also want to have them just all answer, it doesn't matter to me.
No,
Just
I'll
put that
pause
there.
them. All right, here we go. Oops. I keep going.
I have like 10 minutes before I have to leave. So I'm gonna try to do this as quick as possible, but I'm like the biggest word bitch ever. Anyways, I'm proud of all 3 of you getting to the end. I think I'm a little bit jealous of the spot that one of you was in. And I think maybe this is the least this isn't the least predictable final 3. To all 3 of you, I love all 3 of these people, except I wish. I'm gonna start off with Zach. Excellent job at putting threats in front of yourself, making me almost feel like you were going to be a goat for me. And then writing that plan through to the end where all the threats in front of you left and you were left with 2 pretty good candidates at the end. I think you had a very big hand in the moves that went down without looking like you had a big hand in them. And I think bigger alliance, you were the person who was able to make the most outer connections, barely make you a target as well. I think there are maybe 1 or 2 people in the jury who aren't so interested in the pre-merge section and care more about the merge phase. What I want to know from you is, what did you do in the pre-merge section of the game on the merge gameplay? How did your pre-merge self set you up for success in the merge? And the pre-merge that helped you get to the end. Great job. Love you. You're a freak.
All right.
Wow. Okay. So pre-merge, I said this in my opening statement, but I'll regurgitate it here. I utilized the one world part of the game to my advantage to the best of my ability, and I feel like if any player wanted to do really well in the game, they had to utilize that. During pre-merge, not only did I get information from like Dana and others at One World, but I also started talking with you. I started talking with Will. I started talking with Cameron, and a lot of people that weren't on OG Vireo, I think that's how you pronounce it. So I started making my social bonds there. Because if I didn't, when merge came a swap, it would kind of be like, oh, hi, we're finally together. Where most people that I talked to at merge or swap were like, hey, we're on a tribe together, woo. So I think I did a really good job at setting myself up at One World for swap and merge because of my social connections I made there. And I think that impacted a lot of the direction of my game. Thank you, and I'm a freak.
Forgot to unmute myself. Sorry about that.
Kevin, you are a little bit of an enigma to me because I know you're a super duper smart person and I think you're a great person. I wish we could have talked a little bit more personally. I respect that you were able to get to the end even when it seemed like your name was out there a lot of the time. Although I don't necessarily know personally how much you had to do with yourself not being the vote. I think you were great in the sense that you could easily flip onto what the majority was doing and keep sliding under the radar even when you voted in the minority, the circumstances of what else was happening in the game rather than what you were doing. And maybe you were just playing with the hand you were dealt. But I just want to know, I guess I just want to know, what parts of this game do you feel like you put effort into? Looking at your game, it seems like a lot of it was effortless, and I just want to know where your real effort was, because I don't feel like it was a super duper effort on your part to be strategizing with me or talking to me too much, and I think other people might feel the same. Whereas I know that Zach and Allie were both super passionate about this game, and I could kind of see more clearly where their efforts were going. I don't feel like I have that same image of you. I love you sometime, even though I know you'll probably never trust me again. But that's okay. I don't think anyone ever does. Congrats on making it to the end. Allie?
Okay, so
All right.
the first time, I guess I would say that, well, I'm not going to say I didn't put effort. There are parts of the game that I didn't put effort, but the first time where I was, like, playing hard. Can you see me, by the way? Okay, yeah, never mind. I can see myself. Probably the autumn vote, because I guess I kind of flipped on the side I was working with before just because I realized that that side wouldn't be beneficial to me, which I talked about in my opening speech just because autumn wasn't trustworthy. And then I feel like I put in a lot of effort into the whale vote. Like, again, not masterminding it, but, well, I was very busy that night and it was very stressful. But I still made sure I talked to everyone about the vote. Not saying I organized that vote by myself, but I made sure everyone was on the same page. And then, especially at the end game, there was a lot of effort, more so in just like thinking, what's the best route? Like, should I get rid of Dana and just hope we can beat Owen at the final immunity challenge, or should I get rid of Owen and see what happens at Final Four, depending on who wins and who votes who? And so maybe it wasn't openly, at least at that point, I wasn't openly playing an effort, but I, like, to the other people, like, openly strategizing about it, although I did talk about it with Allie a lot, but I feel like there was a lot of thought put in at those key votes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on.
Oh, Allie. This is the hard.
Hold on, it's doing that weird thing.
For pretty much all the hardest for me, because for pretty much all the merge, I considered you my #1 ally, and I really appreciated watching you in the game, watching you try to grow as a player from your last time. Because I think that you were a part of a lot of the things this season. I think you were only in the minority on the vote where Ashvika left, and you weren't even, I guarantee if you had been on the call, you would have just voted Ashvika. The thing I struggle with in saying that is that although you were a part of things, I don't necessarily know that you were the driving and that's where I get a little bit stuck. I think a lot of the jury tonight feels like there's something in them that is rooting against you. And I think that speaks a little bit to your jury management, but it's hard to place where it is. I talked to you a little bit about this before I left, and I know it's just who you are as a person. So it's hard for me to fault you for being super emotional and apologetic about the moves you were making. I think the fact that you felt so bad and it felt like people when they were leaving the game had to calm you down and had to apologize to you even though they were leaving, I think that's something that left kind of a I want to know is how do all of these emotions that you felt in the game, how is the way that you were so heavily impacted by the game and what was going on that you couldn't tell the people that you were voting out how bad you felt? How do those emotions support or benefit your game? Because I think right now, almost everyone can agree that they were a detriment to your game. And I know it's hard to turn them off and be a game bot and just do what you have to do without feeling anything. But I think the fact that you were so publicly displaying things kind of felt off. So I don't know, just how does this emotional side of you translate into being a good game player is what I want to know. This is like almost 6 minutes now and I have to leave. I felt like I had another question. Maybe I don't. So congrats all three of you. I'm sure everyone else will ask any other questions that I had. And I look forward to your opening and closing speeches. I want you all to own the games that you played. And I don't know if any one of you played the best game, but you are the three at the end. So why do you think your game was better than the others? That's not a question. I just want to know that in your speeches. So good job. Love you all. Goodbye.
All right.
Okay. I think
Go ahead.
part of the thing with the emotion thing, I'm realizing now more and more that I handled that wrong. But I think part of the reason why I was getting so emotional at this game is because, aside from the fact that I feel guilty, which I talked about with some other questions, but it was the fact that while I had so much fun in previous games I'd played before, I really so desperately wanted to play better and be making these moves and not, because I was so angry at myself every time I play these games, because I get angry at myself because I always play badly. So I was so determined to play better this time. But the problem with that is that that kind of goes against that. It's difficult for me because it makes me feel bad on like I'm making moves, which is basically what everyone already knows at this point. But like, I really desperately wanted to play a winning game and one that deserved the jury's respect, which is why I think. But to do that and to make those moves, it would make me so. I literally sound like a child, but it would make me really upset on a personal level, and that's why I did a very bad job of keeping that like internalized how bad it made me feel. But with that said, I think one thing worth talking about is a lot of jurors. I don't think I made them feel bad for voting them out because. Unfortunately, because of the way the votes had to go, I had to blindside a lot of the jurors because of idols or the fact that the majority wasn't a complete tribe majority. Like looking at the list of jurors, Lily, I didn't talk to Lily, but I didn't tell her she was going. Duncan had an idol, so I couldn't tell him he was going. Will, the majority was only 5, so I didn't tell him he was going. Ruthie, I didn't tell that she was going. Emily, I couldn't tell she was going. Cameron, I did actually think I wasn't there for, and Owen and Dana by Final 5 I had to tell. There's no point not to because it was idols and whatnot. But I don't actually think I was telling that many jurors as they were going out the door. I think that was more a product of my damage control being centered around the fact that I so desperately wanted to play better this time, so desperately, and I think I did. I really think I did. But the problem with that is that also it's very hard on a person level to make moves like that. And then I think for the other thing Owen, I'm sorry, I'm keeping you guys up by talking too long, but the other thing Owen talked about was about being in the control for stuff, and I do actually feel like I was consistently in the center of like stuff. While I don't think any move this season was led by one person, I think an example of how I was in the center, the best example of that is the Emily vote. Like. I didn't tell anyone that I was going to vote Emily, but that's because I wanted to take the move into my own hands and make it, rather than voting 2-2 with Ashvika and Emily, because I knew Cameron was playing an idol, I knew Emily was playing her vote negator, I knew all that was happening, and if I had all the sort of puzzle pieces together, So that while I gave the excuse to Owen that I did it because I didn't want to have to sort of upset Emily, it was because I wanted to reclaim that move's mine because I felt I deserved it for doing that, and the fact that I didn't tell anyone I was going to vote Emily. I didn't, which allowed me to not only ensure Cameron's idol was played, but also so that it wasn't a revote. I think that's just an example of how I was sort of in the centre of stuff, and why I may not have always been the one been the person pushing votes. Because I don't think there was a person doing that. I was always one of the ones always at the forefront of votes, which is why, like you said, I was almost always in the majority. Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
All right. That's okay. That's an abrupt ending. Does anybody have anything else they would like to say to Owen? Or can we move on?
Yeah.
All right. Let me get the next video set up. All right, so our next juror and our second last juror, how exciting, is Africa. Here we go.
Hello friends, I probably fell asleep again because I'm very sick, but congratulations on making it to final 3. I'm so proud of all of you and I love you all so much. There. My jury question for Ali and for Zach is the same, and the question is, who or what barrier to your game, and how are you able to personally overcome that or get rid of that barrier? Question for Kevin is, you see 2 big personalities sitting beside you today at Final Tribal Council. How do you set yourself apart, and how do you set your game apart from these 2 people? Good luck, everybody, and may the best person win.
So who do I have pinned right now? I have Ali pinned, so let's have Ali go first.
Sure. I think I'm saying it again and again, but I think it's because I think the thing that's going to sort of hold my game back is the fact that I think, in my opinion, I think I made the most moves at the final 3, but I handled the moves I made at the final 3 the worst. I think I was a part of the most things that happened, but I really am mad at myself now for the amount that I let my emotional instability basically damage my game. And I think the problem is now that while I'm friends with lots of the jurors, they don't actually want to, and while I would have hoped they would respect my game, I don't think people want to vote for me, which is my fault for. So I guess it's not being able to keep my emotions back and how that's led to bad jury management is what will hold me back.
All right. Zach has the same question, so we can. Oh. Where did he go? I guess we'll have Kevin go next.
Okay. What was the first part of her question for me? Because it bugged out.
Let me just play it again.
Okay.
So much. All Ali was happy to see her overcome that or get rid of that barrier.
All right, here it is.
And my question for Kevin is, I see 2 big personalities sitting beside you today at Final Tribal Council. How do you set yourself apart, and how do you set your game apart from these 2 people?
All right. Did you hear that? You're muted. Kevin, unmute yourself.
King of being muted.
Sorry. She said something about 2 big personalities, I think.
I'll relay it to you. So she wants to know, because Zach and Ali both big personalities, she wants to know how you're going to set yourself apart from them and how you're going to set your game apart from their games.
Okay. So I think I've had the most turbulent game, which I don't think will come as a surprise, as in, because, I was at the bottom, and then I recovered, and then I didn't. Oh, then I went back to the bottom, and then I recovered. And so that can seem like bad gameplay, and I'm not going to say it was perfect gameplay because it wasn't. But being able to overcome those roadblocks that keep coming at me, I think sets me apart, and that I had to overcome those while Zach and Ali both played well, but they didn't have the same road to the final tribal. And I know that sometimes when I got votes, like I wasn't at risk for going home, and I wasn't because I was a threat or anything. I still think having that in my way sets me apart. And I guess in a personality way, I'm not sure if this was part of the question, but you said there are two big personalities. I mean, I think I'm a nice, sociable person, and I'm not like I have. I think I can get along with everyone, even if I'm not on the same side with them in this game. And I think that mostly just being able to get along with all kinds of people is what helps me. And I hope that answered your question, and I hope I heard it right. Yeah.
That was good. Thank you very much. So that leaves Zach. Go ahead, Zach.
Okay. A typical like barrier I have in most games is I feel like I always come off as like too strong, because I don't play under the radar commonly. I usually play like I try to be the mastermind. I try to be the person that controls things, which is very much like my nature in games. And in this game, I feel like I overcame that in a way where I toned it down quite a bit. And instead, I was more like trolly and like fun. While I was still doing stuff, I just had a more lighthearted spirit about it, and I didn't come off as a threat to most people, to the point where I don't think anyone considered me really a threat, or at least in the, I guess, like pecking order of threats, I was always lower than someone else. And I feel like that was also like partially due to my game and how I handled it. And so I think that's kind of why I overcame the barrier of always coming off too strong. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me get our last juror, which is Ruthie.
I'm so ready for the plot twist of Ruthie actually dragging everyone.
We know Ruthie's such a savage. All right, here we go.
Hi. I'm making this just in case I can't be there. Hopefully I'll be there, but yeah, I might not. So yeah, I think I know who I'm voting for, but known to change my mind like often in these things. So, or well, kind of yeah, I guess it's a question. Okay. So y'all know how I love Disney, right? I love Disney a lot. Actually, I'm going back like, but that's beside the point. I'm not gonna redo this. I'm gonna keep talking. Okay. I want y'all to compare everybody in the jury to a Disney character. So yeah, that's what I want y'all to do. And reason you can't think of any Disney characters, or if you don't like Disney, then yeah, you're not getting my vote. Maybe I don't know. But anyway, I am very proud of the three of you. Y'all did great, and I'm gonna be a totally worthy winner. I'm not a bitter B-word. All right, bye. Good luck.
Oh, good golly. Okay, I have Zach up, so Zach can go first.
Did she ask compare everyone to like a Disney character?
She wants you to compare everybody on the jury to a Disney character.
Okay, well, this is gonna be a hard one off the bat. So I guess I'll start with Dana. I guess I'm just gonna mainly go off princesses because why not? I would compare Dana to. I feel like Pocahontas if I had to pick someone because like Pocahontas is one of my favorite movies and or like Disney films and I feel like Pocahontas wait did she I'm sorry did she ask to explain why or just say it? I don't know.
Yeah, but like keep it brief.
Okay. I just think that Dana is more like she will say what's on her mind. I feel like that's kind of like what Pocahontas is, where like they're more like passionate about what they believe in. Yeah. Um, Owen. I would say Owen is Cinderella because I guess like I feel like Owen was a definition of an all-star, and I'm translating that into Cinderella as like the OG type of princess where she's like the go-to type of thing. Ashvika. I thought Ashvika would be Snow White because Snow White's like the most adorable thing ever and so sweet. And Ashvika seems like she would literally have birds singing on her finger. It's her thing. Cameron, I would say, is I guess like Mulan because Mulan was like very also like strong and passionate and kind of like determined. And I feel like that's Cameron's kind of story arc in the All Star season. Okay. Um, Emily. I would say Emily was. I would say Emily was probably also. Can I use the same person? I don't know. I'm gonna do it. I think Emily is also kind of like a Mulan, where it's like she seems passionate about what she puts her thought into, as well as the fact that she's also like a really fun personality, and Mulan's like quirky. Love that word. Who's next? Ruthie. Ruthie is literally like any print. I want to go with a mixture of Snow White and Belle because Snow White is also kind of like what I mentioned earlier about how she's so adorable and she's so sweet, like Ashvika. I feel like Ruthie also encompasses a similar thing, and the reason why I said Belle is because Belle is just like a really likable princess. Like she's probably one of the more top tier ones, and that's why. And Ruthie just who doesn't like her. And then Duncan, I would say Duncan's just Belle because they're both like seem like they're likable people. They're Duncan's a social god, and I feel like Belle would be a social goddess. And last but not least is Charlotte. I feel like with Charlotte, she would be a mixture of like Mulan and Pocahontas with the whole determined drive, but also like nice and sweet, but can have like a cutthroat kind of like vibe going on. I don't know how I did at this. Love you. Okay, bye. Someone else can take it.
Okay, can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so, question of sorts, is Shrek Disney? I don't know the answer. Okay, I'll just go.
Yeah, you're right. That's Disney.
Okay, for Dana, I don't know what the name is, but it's like the meerkat from The Lion King. I don't know the name, whatever it is. I think
Timon.
whatever Abby just said, I'll pretend I heard that. I don't know, it's just like Dana's one of the funniest people I've ever talked to, and like every time I talk to her or like have been on call with her, I like feel like I might suffocate in a good way. Um, Owen, well, I was gonna say as a joke, fairy godmother because that was an iconic look. I feel in a way, to I guess continue with the Lion King thing, I just feel like he's Simba. I don't know. I just get like this princely vibe. I don't know. Ashvika, I feel like would be Anna from Frozen because like I don't know. When I talked to Ashvika, she was very like relatable in that sort of way that Anna is, just like, yeah. So I'm trying not to copy it, but I really agree with Zach on Mulan for Cameron, just because like Mulan's a badass and Cameron kicked ass, including my own ass in this game. So like, yeah, Ruthie would be um Snow White, because Ruthie's just absolutely super sweet. Charlotte, I feel like would be a mixture of, I want to say, Elsa and Mulan. Like, again, kick ass, powerful, more powerful than I'll ever be in anything. Um, and like Elsa could probably kill people. Um, who am I? Duncan. Um, very smart. Oh my gosh, what's the? It's the. Oh, Belle. Yeah, because Belle's extremely smart, and Duncan is just like, not Belle. Oh my god. It's the girl from. Okay, I'll come back to Duncan. Sorry. Emily, she is definitely Mulan. I already used that for like 3 people, and I know Zach used that, but it's a very apt comparison because Emily's just both in Survivor and in life, like this just accomplished person, and I'm like, oh my god. And then Duncan. Mm, I'm trying to think of Disney princesses. I would say a mixture of Belle and Mulan. Like, again, that's the fourth time I'm using Mulan, but whatever. That's the only Disney princess I know. Again, like, smart, kick-ass human being. I think that's everyone, I hope.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you very much. All right, Allie's turn.
Okay, I'll try and make this quick because, yeah. Okay, let's start with, okay, I'll start with Owen. I think Owen is like the genie from Aladdin because he just makes stuff happen and he's very funny and he just does that. And I'm actually a list open because I've already missed someone. I've already missed Dana. Okay, I think from Dana, my sort of gut was the Queen of. I'm trying to pick different people. The Queen of Hearts, just because she has this very confident sense of self and she owns what she does and she sort of makes decisions and says what she and is very blunt about it, which I think is like that. Ashvika, I feel like would be someone maybe like Alice from Alice in Wonderland. I'm trying to like pick different people, so these are weird choices. I apologize, because everyone just likes her, and it was just I don't really know where I'm going this, but it's just a likable character that sort of everyone is rooting for to watch them go through it. I just had Cameron. I just had one in my head for Cameron. I'm gonna come back to it because I had something. I had a good idea. Emily. I can't remember her name, but the main character from Brave, the one with the red hair, whose name I can't remember, but her. It's because like just does that, like confident and feisty, is just matches everyone, anyone and everyone. It's just amazing of Emily. Ruthie, I have as sort of Winnie the Pooh, just positive, fun, sort of the core of what is Disney is Ruthie. What I had such a good in my head for Cameron, and I literally can't remember what it was. I'm really annoyed with myself. Oh, that's what it was. Cameron, I thought was Peter Pan. Again, weird choice, but just the way he sort of had like control and was sort of this big like leader figure that all the children followed because everyone was following Cameron in this game. And I get up to Will. God, I'm forgetting. I had all these ideas for everyone, and I can't remember any of them anymore. Okay, Will, I'll come back to because I said something for him as well. Duncan, I want to say partly because of it's the sort of maybe a video, but wait, I'm running out of ideas. Let's go with Duncan, I would say, will say, running out of ideas. Oh god, I can't think of things. Charlotte could would be oh god, I'm literally not doing well here. Okay, okay, let's go with who am I not said yet? Okay, okay, let's go with that. Will, I'm going to say is Captain Hook. I feel weird saying a villain for Will, but just my feeling that sort of has this sort of legion of people behind him and is kind of, it's very intimidating as a player. And then who else? Duncan. Sorry, I said I'll not take too long. Now I'm literally taking forever. Duncan, I'm going to say is especially in Athena context, Mickey Mouse, the sort of the face of Athena, the face of Disney. Mickey Mouse can be Duncan, positive, just a great person. And Charlotte, I'm going to say Charlotte can. I want to say someone different. I can't think of a person to say. For Charlotte, let's say that let's say Charlotte is the fairy godmother, just because I think she has the sort of mystical powers and everyone like respects her and she looks after everyone.
All right. Thank you very much. Jay, if you want to retake control.
I don't really have anything to say besides, of course, that now it's time to hand over all the power to the jury. They are obviously allowed to vote however they want for whatever reasons they want. And we will have the winner reveal tomorrow night. Amanda will be reading the votes, which is good. So stay tuned for that. And everyone.
Do we get to do closing statements?
Oh yeah, we get to do closing statements. I totally forgot about that. I'm dropping hints that we do closing statements, and I don't know what order you guys want to go in. Do you guys care? Kevin, why don't you go first? We've been doing either alphabetical or reverse alphabetical.
Darn it, I almost got away. So I don't have much to close on. Cliche again, but thank you all for making this game so fun. I've seriously never enjoyed a game, even despite all this hell it's put me through. I understand some people's criticisms and understand if I don't get that many votes, but I just first and foremost, before anything, just want to thank you for it. Yeah.
I don't know. Who wants to go next? Take a vote. Zach, raise his hand. Go ahead.
Okay, so also being cliche, Kevin. Just once again, thanks to the host for hosting and casting me, and thank you to everyone that played this game for making the experience that it was. I genuinely think that I played a great overall game. It wasn't the most upfront and the most outspoken game, but I do feel like I incorporated the ideas of strategy and social together, and I outplayed and I outlasted. I'm hoping that throughout my answers that is conveyed. And overall, I hope that a lot of the friendships will maintain outside the game, and I'm excited to talk to y'all. And thank y'all. Catch you on the flip side.
Cool. Allie?
Okay. At this point, I feel like I have to say stuff because I feel like there's lots that is sort of not going much. I feel like I need to sort of say stuff that I feel like for an all-star season that we were all so excited and ready to play and do our best. I feel like I don't know if this is maybe my bias as not being a juror, but I feel like we should all be looking for a winner that we feel can represent our season, someone that made moves, someone that did things. And I truly feel like, and this is time to get into sort of brag, but I really just want to I don't know, I'm not going this, but anyway, we want to vote for a winner, someone that made moves, someone that tried to do things. And I truly feel like for a winner of the season that I could do that is that I was someone that was swinging side to side trying to make moves, and while my jury management may not have been perfect, and while I really regret the fact that I let emotions seep into my game, I don't think that just detracted from the fact that I was a part of all the moves that defined this merge. Every single merge vote, other than Ashvika, was one that I was voting for and I was a part of. And I feel like I wasn't afraid to go from side to side and vote with different people. And I was not intent on being anyone's number two. I was fighting for my own game. A number of jurors said I was their closest ally, but I voted them out because I was playing for myself to win. I wasn't there to coast. I wasn't there to be someone's number two and to play under someone. I was fighting so hard. And while I don't know if the jury would respect me on a personal level for the way I let emotions seep into my game, I would hope you respect my game on a game level, and the fact that every merge vote on a game level I had such impact on. And I know this is unlike me to say, but I was so passionate and I'm so happy with my game even though I let emotions seep into it, and I really just want to, I don't know, I feel like I just upset everyone by saying that, but I don't know.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, that's Final Tribal Council. Thank you all. Those of you who have stuck through this whole thing, thank you for watching. I would encourage our jury to watch the entirety of Final Tribal Council before casting their vote, as obviously people's answers and questions can play into how you pursue somebody's game. I would encourage everybody to really think critically about their votes and to really consider exactly what criteria matter to them personally and what is going to guide their vote. Because it's all your
And
decision.
also,
obviously, they're not allowed to talk about it with each other. They're not allowed to talk about it with anybody else. It's your personal decision. Make it however you see fit. Finalists, thank you so much for playing. We had such a great time hosting all three of you and hosting everybody in this season. It was a really fun game to plan and to host, and I'm very glad that we had all of you. So stay tuned for the winner reveal tomorrow night. I'm not sure exactly what time we're doing it because Amanda's not on call right now, but I'm sure it will be sometime in the evening, and I'm sure it'll be great. And whoever wins will have played a game that deserves a win. And we're all very proud of you.
Bye.